Good afternoon to everyone. A warm welcome to all the learned viewers for today's virtual CPE meeting on interactive session on GST refund and e-invoicing. I, on the behalf of Chandigarh branch, welcome our today's guest speakers and in absentia, our panelists who are going to join in a few minutes. To enlighten us on today's topic, we have with us CA Adarsh Gupta ji and CA Prateek Bindal ji with us. We welcome you, sir. Once again, we welcome you on the behalf of Chandigarh branch. First of all, in the absentia, we welcome panelist Parveen Kashyap ji. And Parveen Kashyap ji, I think so, whenever he, Chairman sir, whenever he join, then we will introduce them, sir.
No worries, sir.
Okay, not an issue. Okay, ji. So first of all, I will introduce CA Adarsh Gupta ji, who is the manager of IDT team Grant Thornton. Adarsh ji is a chartered accountant by qualification with distinction of holding 8th All India rank. He is also an alumni of IIM Calcutta and has over 7-year experience in the field of indirect taxation. His core area of expertise includes advisory, compliance, and litigation management. In Grant Thornton, Adarsh Gupta is a part of GST team actively engaged in serving clients on GST transition, implementations, strategies, and compliance services. Before joining this Grant Thornton team, Adarsh was working with Bharti Airtel Limited as a circle tax manager for the upper northern region. During this, he played a key role in preparing the as-if analysis of GST on Bharti Airtel Limited. We welcome you, Adarshi, for today's meeting, sir. And over another speaker, a very young, thank you, sir. Over another next speaker of the day, very young CA Prateek ji is with us. Prateek Bindal ji is a consultant in Grant Thornton team and specializing in indirect taxes and is working as a consultant in Chandigarh Grant Thornton team. He has over 4 years of diversified experience in core advisory services, litigation management, and evaluating impact of emerging law on business, primarily GST. Prateek is a regular speaker on indirect tax issues and addressed a number of seminars in various forums and universities. We welcome you, Prateek ji, for today's meeting, sir.
Thank you, Anil ji. Thank you.
Our two speaker, and whenever Praveen ji is join us, we will introduce their profile to our learned viewer at that time. So we welcome once again to the both of the guest speakers. Now I request and invite our chairman, CA Amitoj Singh Kamboj ji, chairman Chandigarh branch, to deliver his welcome address, sir. Over to chairman, sir.
Thanks a lot, Anil ji. So on behalf of Chandigarh branch, I welcome both the young personalities of our region, especially of our Tri-City, Prateek Jindal and Adarsh Gupta. Both are the chartered accountant, and it's a great honor for the Chandigarh branch. Of late, we have been trying to bring in the local faculties for putting up their deliberation on various topics, and I see like I think last month we had Nikhil also on one of the topics related to income tax, and he is also a very young chap. And now today we have Adarsh and Prateek. Prateek is also a very young chartered accountant from our local fraternity. So it's a proud feeling for the Chandigarh branch also that the young generation of our Tri-City is taking up the things in a better way for the betterment of the fraternity. So definitely we look forward to. In absentia, Praveen ji is not available, but I believe he's in the meeting and he will join us sooner. And we look forward to two important topics. One is the e-invoicing, GST e-invoicing, and another one is the refunds related to GST. We all are aware that e-invoicing, I think, although I'm not that good in GST, but I believe that it is beyond 100 crores, I believe. So there are few of the companies in, I believe, in our region who have invoicing more than 100 crores. So it is very important to understand how this e-invoicing thing will work. So we look forward to that deliberation Pratik will be giving up the deliberation on that part, and then thereafter we look forward to Adarsh also, who will be speaking on refunds of GST. So once again, on behalf of Chandigarh branch, I welcome both the faculties and look forward to their deliberation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Chairman sir. Thanks, and rightly said by you, sir. Moving ahead, requested to all the learned viewers, if they will have any question relating to today's topics, they can drop their questions relating to the topics in a Q&A section. The speaker will answer as per their convenience. So now I request CA Pratik Bindalji to take over the charge of today's meeting and enlighten us on today's topic, and he is going to speak on this e-invoicing and challenge or e-invoicing and how to generate e-invoicing. So over to CA Pratik Bindalji, sir.
Thank you so much, Anilji. Thank you so much, Amitodji, for giving us this opportunity. And thank you, everyone present here, to taking out time and just having it would be a formal, informal discussion also. So I'll just start presenting my screen. So just a quick confirmation if everyone is able to view my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So objective of today's call is obviously to know more about the e-invoicing introduced by the government recently for the different sections of taxpayers. Like Amit Toji rightly said that it has now been introduced for companies having aggregate turnover of 100 CR and more. So it becomes more important for Tri-City area to know about it, because there is ample of opportunity and ample of work involved in implementing the e-invoicing uh, in the taxpayer systems before 1st January 2021. So before taking to the PPT, I'd like to show you some Google result. So we can just simply type GST fraud here. So now here you would be seeing that every damn day we different type of GST frauds are being unearthed. If I see 1 day ago, 9 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 3 days ago, on an average, and every day. We have also seen a headline that a CA student was involved in 50 crore ITC scam by floating more than 100 companies. So these events, in my view, has forced the government to introduce e-invoicing for the taxpayers having turnover of more than 100 CR. And they are also planning to introduce e-invoicing for each and every taxpayer, irrespective of the turnover. But that would be done in a phased manner gradually once the system sets for the bigger companies. So basically, just a background. So GST Council had approved the e-invoicing in a phased manner of reporting of B2B invoices to the GST portal with effect from 1st January 2020, which was done on a voluntary basis. The reason being that the government, of course, the frauds happening, but other reasons being that the government felt that there is no standard invoicing mechanism or an invoicing format which was approved by any agency, or there was no reporting being done on a real-time basis except the e-bill part. So this e-invoicing was finalized in consultation with the industry bodies, trade, as well as the institute. So this standardization is also important towards the vision of digital India. that every invoice should be just scanned and that should be recorded automatically. And there is no need for a manual intervention. So coming upon the applicability, so from 1st October 2020, the e-invoicing was made mandatory for the companies, for the taxpayers having turnover more than 500 CR. Now, from 1st January 2021, the same would be applicable for the companies or the taxpayers having turnover above 100 CR. So this system is being run by National Informatics Center, NIC, with the consultation, of course, of GSTN network and GST Council. So the key features of the proposed system. So the proposed system is not that invoicing system would be changed. Your procedure would be changed. Extra steps would be there, but the methodology involved in issuing an invoice would be the same. You would be issuing the invoice same as you are doing right now. It's just that you need an IRN, that is a invoice unique number that would be allotted to each and every document uploaded on the IRP, that is invoice registration portal. And each and every other thing remains the same. So what is IRN? That is invoice reference number. So invoice reference number is a 64-digit number that would be allotted to each and every B2B invoice and credit note and debit note in the B2B category, which would be unique for each and every document uploaded on the IRP. So post 1st January 2021 or 1st October 2020, on the companies on which e-invoicing is mandatory, an invoice without the IRN would be an invalid invoice. So therefore, it becomes very necessary that we need to generate an IRN. Otherwise, it would be a redundant document. So IRP will sign the invoice digitally with their private key and will also generate a QR code containing IRN along with the other parameters. So two things what we got, that in e-invoicing and in normal invoice, two major things would be added on your invoice. The one being invoice reference number and the second one being the QR code. So moving ahead. So what was the need, objectives, what the government wants to achieve? Of course, eliminating the fake invoices is one of it and one of the major reasons behind e-invoicing. But also they want to make a trail of B2B invoices. Right now we are getting invoice notices for mismatches in 2A, that you get to know that your supplier has not reported your invoices in his GSTR1. So to curb that difficulties, this e-invoicing has been introduced with a system level matching of ITC and output tax. It will also enable taxpayers also and a better services, that all your purchase and sales data would be auto-populated in your GST returns. So it would be very easy for you to verify the authenticity of the invoices received by your suppliers and just to match it with 2A and 2B. So these are some of the objectives of the government involved in launching of this e-invoicing concept in India. So this is a short timeline how the has GST Council has introduced this e-invoicing in India. So a standard e-invoicing was approved on 20th September 2019. And after that, on 1st January 2020, it was available for certain class of taxpayers to check it, to just operate it, to just give their feedbacks on a voluntary basis. And then on 1st October, e-invoicing, which was to be made mandatory for 100 CR plus companies, it was made mandatory for only 500 CR companies. And now, from 1st January 2020, the e-invoicing has been mandated for companies having aggregate turnover above 100 CR. So what is a global trend? Is India the first country to launch e-invoicing, or how e-invoicing has been taken up by the international markets? What other countries, more developed countries than India, or let's say China, Brazil, how they are dealing with the e-invoicing? So in case of China, e-invoicing was introduced on 2016, and they generated 1.3 billion e-invoices in 2017 itself. The case of Brazil, they introduced e-invoicing back in 2011. Chile, voluntary in 2001, Mexico in 2011, Europe in 2014. So they have grown and they have developed the e-invoicing concept, and they have moved forward of it. Now e-invoicing, e-documentation is a part of their supply chain. So India's perspective upon the e-invoicing is also the same. They want to embed this practice in the supply chain so that there is no misconnection between supplier and purchaser, or the final customer and the government. So everything would be on the portal itself. So people would be getting less notices. People would be return filing would be easy for the taxpayers to an extent, of course. So India with 7,500 GSTs above 500 CR would be the largest e-invoicing led economies in the world. So 500 CR above companies are 7,500. We can, of course, expect that how many companies would be there falling under the ambit of rule that is going to be applicable from 1st January. That is 400 plus CR companies. So India is moving towards it. Of course, there would be technical glitches, some barriers affecting the objectives of this, but it's the duty of the chartered accountants along with the software companies to make this challenge possible, and we can move forward with it, e-invoicing in India, and just embed it in our supply chain. Moving forward. So what are the parameters? What are the things that needs to be embedded in your tax invoice for different type of supplies? So the government has divided basically the supplies between two, one B2B sales and one B2C sales. So first talking about the companies having the turnover above 500 CR. So in B2B sales, IRN and QR code would be generated by the government portal, that is IRP, which will be communicated to the taxpayer, which needs to be embedded on the tax invoice. Whereas in the B2C sales, only the QR code needs to be embedded on the tax invoice. That means first that there is no requirement of IRN in B2C sales invoices. The second difference is that in the QR code. So in the B2B sales, the QR code was generated by the IRP portal, that is the government. However, in the B2C sales, QR code will be generated by our internal software. That means no reporting of B2C sales will be done on the IRP portal for QR code and IRN. First, there's a difference here. Second, coming upon the applicability of e-invoicing for companies having turnover above 100 CR. In B2B sales, it's same like 500 CR companies, that IRN and QR code would be mandatory, and that would be generated by the IRP portal itself. However, there's a change in B2C sales. So in the B2C sales, QR code would not be a mandatory field for 100 plus CR companies. So this e-invoicing is also not applicable on all the SSEs. Some of these sectors have been set aside due to many different reasons. These sectors include SEZ units, insurance companies, banking companies, financial institutions. So we have already seen that in 2017, when the financial institution, the banking companies uploaded their invoices, a 2 rupee invoice was also uploaded in their GSTR1. So the server became so heavy that the government was forced to postpone the GSTR1 date. So post that, leverages for banking company in terms of the tax invoice, consolidated tax invoice was introduced. So keeping that in mind, a financial institution and banking companies have been kept aside once again. So the other sector includes GTA, Goods Transport Agency, the passenger transportation services, and similar sectors. So what would be the process flow? We have seen what we need to generate. We need IR and we need product code. Okay, na? But and what is e-invoicing? Why it was introduced? That we have discussed. But how we will be generating that e-invoice practically? So this is a small process flow that how a standard seller would be generating an e-invoice, and would and where that data would be moving and reporting. So coming from the left side, the seller, if they want to generate an e-invoice, they can take the help of the ERP, what they are currently using, or ASP, or the Excel file, Excel offline tools that has been provided by the e-invoicing IRP portals. So an invoice can be prepared on that offline tool, which would be converted into a JSON file, like what we do in our GSTR1. We create an offline tool, we convert it to a JSON file. Then that JSON file would be uploaded on the IRP portal that would be managed by the NIC. So NIC, the IRP portal, will receive the JSON file. It will have its own validations. There are more than 44 validations in line. And some validations, main validations include deduplication check, duplication check with the GST system, or the arithmetical errors, or your GSTN is correct or not for the recipient. The applicable fields, the mandatory fields are there or not. So these are some of the validations out of 44 that IRP portal would be doing. After confirming all the validations, the IRP portal would generate another JSON file. That JSON file would be containing the digital signed invoice, that is our IRN number, and the QR code. So from this, we need to take that IRN and our QR code to our physical invoice. We need to print that QR code and IRN on our physical invoice. If it is not done, that invoice would be an invalid invoice. So it's a lengthy process because it's all working on JSONs and offline tools, and we are we all know that how much simple it is to file one GSTR one also from your JSONs. So it would be a challenge for the taxpayer to generate IRN and QR code for each and every invoice on a real-time basis. So, but there's one benefit what we would be getting, that is this data of the e-invoice would be transmitted to the GST network, and that data of the outward supply would be auto-populated in the GST returns, like your GSTR1 and e-way bill part 1. So the taxpayer need not punch the data once again at the month end at the time of filing the GSTR1, and the same would be reflecting in the system of the buyer also. So it will be easy as a buyer also to authenticate a transaction, because today many companies has followed a practice that till the time the supplier's invoice is not reflecting in 2A, the companies are not making payment to their suppliers. So this real-time reporting would definitely help in liquidation also, and uh, preventing further so coming upon the key characteristics, what the key points we need to take care at the time of generating an e-invoice. So generation of JSON data. So if I want to generate an e-invoice, so the accounting software or the billing software should possess an utility to generate the data in JSON, so that that JSON can be punched into the IRP, and the IRP can give us the desired IRN and QR code. So one of the this thing needs to be considered. The second, of course, the IRN should be generated by the IRP portal. All the validations checks should be completed in case of any in case of any error being reported by the IRP, that needs to be corrected. The third is the third point is not operational right now. So this was a proposal given at the time of planning of e-invoicing, that the supplier can also write the IRN itself. But I'll skip this because this is not operational as of now. There are future plans of the government behind it. Let's see how it turns to be. The fourth point comes towards the validation of the invoice data and the QR code. IRP will add its signature on the invoice as well as the QR code to the JSON. But it's the duty of the taxpayer to once validate that data and to just copy that IRN and QR code to your invoice. Next part, that is the ERP configuration. So the government has prescribed more than 132 fields that needs to be filled for generating a single e-invoice. Of course, 132 fields are not mandatory. So approximately 45 to 50 fields are mandatory there. So the ERP needs to be configured like that all that data, all that fields are captured at the time of generating the invoice. So the cancellation of invoices, that can be done within 24 hours. So if you need to cancel after 24 hours, then you need to take do it from the GST portal, that is at the time of the GST returns. So auto updation we have discussed, other key considerations we have discussed already. So this is one of the sample data of e-invoice, how it will be looked, that it contains a QR code, the IRN, all the details of the buyer and the seller, and the list of the components that are being sold. So the key challenges, I guess we have discussed that the key challenges, of course, that would be the functioning of the IRP portal, how it would be handling the bulk data that the whole India would be putting into it at a real-time basis. How we integrate our ERP system to make it efficient, because to generate single JSON for each and every invoice would be a bulky task for the company itself. And there's the third issue that is being seen, that there is no provision for amendment of e-invoice. So that needs to be done from the GST portal. That cannot be done from the IRP portal itself. So these are some of the FAQs which has been released by the government also. So can the seller place their logo in the e-invoice template? Yes, you can. So invoice graphics, invoice what to keep in the invoice, how to keep it in the invoice, that's at the leverage of the taxpayer. E-invoicing just only mandates you to write that IRN and incorporate the QR code in your invoice. Is there any contingency process for when IRP is not accessible or available? So there are more than one IRPs that would be available. In totality, total 8 IRPs are planned to be launched. And hopefully that would be solving our problems. Whether e-way bill needs to be carried out for the transit of documents. So e-way bill will not be changed. E-way bill will work as if it is doing right now. It's just that the part A of the e-way bill would be auto-populated from your e-invoice. So moving forward, so we have seen that, of course, the JSON method of generating a JSON from the IRP portal, it's a very lengthy process, and which would not be very convenient for most of the companies. So many smart solutions are available in the market. One of it I would be showcasing you right now by generating an e-invoice on a live real-time basis. So what these smart solutions do, that it takes the data automatically from your ERP, or at the option of the taxpayer that they also have the Excel route. So it does all the talking with the IRP system, from the conversion of the JSON, from the schema validation, from the GSTN validation. It's all done automatically by that smart solution. So it becomes very necessary for a company where there are high amount of invoices involved on a daily basis, and to just uh, move forward and not to just stuck in a e-invoicing module and just JSONs, generating JSONs all the time. So e-bill, we have discussed that part A in would be auto-populated from the IRP, and the part B. So they are making, GSTN has been making some schemes that a transporter ID would be provided to certain class of transporters, and that only by that transporter ID, all the information would be auto-populated in your part B. But this is in a pipeline. This has not been finalized till now. Gradually, they are also, the government is also planning to uh, dispose of the e-bill system, because all the objectives of e-bill would be met by the e-invoicing. So coming upon the invoicing, let's just generate an e-invoice live right now, how it is generated, what are the parameters it, it needs to be generated. So it's one of our tool, what we use, that's GTax Pro. We use this tool to generate e-invoicing and within seconds. So before that, I'll show you the format, the 132 fields that a taxpayer needs to punch the details in it, that has been prescribed by the government. So here you can see that it's a sample data for generation of the e-invoice. So it contains 132 fields. And as said that all are not compulsory, I have marked the compulsory fields in green, others in white. So without the compulsory fields, you would not be able to generate an e-invoice. So to coming to the, I'll just upload this data, how the tool works. I'll just upload this data. So what is it is doing right now? It is processing all the records present in that sample sheet, and having the validations done as prescribed by the government, the 44 validations. And basis that, it will show us that which are the invoices ready to be generated. The iron can be generated on which invoices. So going on to the process invoices. So these are the two invoices, that is export with payment and without payment of tax. I simply click on the tick buttons. I save that. And from here itself, no need to go to the IRP portal or anywhere else. I'll just submit it. So right now what happened is that the tool has communicated these two details of these two invoices to the IRP, and has taken the QR code and IRN from the IRP, and has generated a ready tax invoice for us to print and to supply it to the your customer. So this is a format which, this is the actual e-invoice what we have just generated. This is the IRN number what you would be seeing. This is a 64-digit number that has been generated by the IRP itself. This is a 15-digit acknowledgement number, and you can see the acknowledgement date. It gives you the time, at what time you have generated this e-invoice. Coming on the QR code, this QR code can be scanned from an authorized app for Android users. This is e-invoice verification app that has been launched by NIC. So if we scan this QR code with that application, so the user would be able to see certain parameters of this invoice, like the IRN, the invoice number, the total tax amount, the total invoice number, the buyer GST and seller GST. So this is the invoice what we have just generated live from the IRP portal, of course, through the help of the tool. And going back, so this was from my side. We can have a discussion now in case of any queries, because this is a practical subject. Everyone would be having its own queries, own challenges. So we can just have a small discussion upon that how can we curtail those challenges and just outpower them. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Pratik ji. Thanks a lot for such a nice and brief presentation given on this e-invoicing issue, sir. So still till now there is no question in chat box, I think so. In the end, we are taking this Q&A or a section, then we will discuss if any question is there, sir, Pratik ji. So
for sure, sir,
once again, thanks a lot, Pratik ji, for a nice presentation, sir. So now over to CA Adarsh Gupta ji for challenging and solution in processing of GST refund and claims. So I request Adarsh ji to take up the charge of the meeting and enlighten us on the this GST refund and claims issue, sir. Over to Adarsh ji.
Thanks, Anil ji. Thank you so much. Just a quick confirmation if I am audible.
Yeah, sir. You are audible, right, sir?
All right. So before I really get into the presentation on GST refunds, if we can just get a quick confirmation from the audience, if e-invoice is actually applicable on some of their clients, and if some of us are actually supporting our clients in assisting them transition to e-invoice. I'm sure some of you would be having a conversation around with your clients in this region, because as far as we are aware, more than 100 clients are of this region are in the need of implementation of e-invoicing, and I'm sure there would have been some queries around it. But anyways, we can take up the queries at the end, and we can start with the GST refund presentation in case there is nothing specific to be discussed on e-invoicing.
Yeah, you can take, sir.
All right.
Go ahead, sir.
So I'll just share my screen. Just give me a minute. So are you able to see the presentation?
Yeah, it's okay, sir. It's okay. Go ahead, sir.
All right. So the GST refunds is something very important, and something which we all are anyways supporting our clients. And we know a lot of challenges are being faced by all of us in getting GST refund done from the respective jurisdictional officers. So just to give you a background, GST refunds, refund basically per se is not something new. And this is something, the refunds was there under the pre-GST era as well. And it was there in the service tax regime, it was there in the VAT regime, but how it is different in the GST regime and what challenges GST has brought to the GST refund process, this is all we are going to discuss. So basically, just to walk you through what are we going to discuss in the next probably 45 minutes, some background on GST refunds, what is the refund application process being followed by the taxpayers and the departmental officers. Some of the latest key updates which are relevant for all of us, and some of the practical issues which we all are facing and what could be the possible solutions to that. And of course, any questions, anything which the audience would like to discuss, we would be open to discuss. So, all right. So refund per se, it is a different mechanism within the GST law, and it has its own machinery provisions which are separate from the other, demand and recovery, or probably the assessment procedure is just basically different from what is being followed in the refund process. And why refund is granted is basically to nullify the impact of taxes, and usually the refund is granted for exports, and basically, or there can be another scenario where a taxpayer has made an incorrect payment of tax, and since the law does not permit the government to retain any incorrect tax paid by the taxpayer, which is basically needs to be refunded back to the assessee. And what are the relevant provisions which govern the refund provisions under the GST law is basically section 54 to 58, and under the rules, rule 89 to 97A basically governs the refund provisions. And what are the different types of refunds which are available for a taxpayer to seek is basically on account of export of goods or services. This can be either with payment of tax or without payment of tax. One thing important I would like to highlight here is that in case of exports of goods or services, what we have practically seen in this region is that usually taxpayers are exporting it under LUT, which what is basically called as a letter of undertaking, and taxpayers do export without payment of tax. One advice which we would like to give here is that in case of without payment of tax, the refund is only granted for inputs and input services, and is not granted for the capital goods. However, in case one decides to make an export with payment of tax, the refund for capital goods is also available in an indirect manner. So one needs to basically decide whether he wants to adopt with payment of tax mechanism or without payment of tax mechanism, and accordingly the client needs to be advised. The second type of refund is basically around any supplies which is made to SEZ unit or a SEZ developer. Since SEZs are treated like an area which is separate from the DTA, what we call as domestic tariff area. So any supplies which is made to an SEZ unit or a developer is considered at par to export of goods or services, and accordingly refund is granted on any supplies made to it. The third type of refund, which is again quite is in news these days, is on account of refund claim on account of inverted tax structure. What does inverted tax structure basically means is that my output rate of tax is less than what my input rate of tax. For example, if I deal in a product where the rate of tax applicable is 5% or let's say 12%, and the input which I am using it to make that product is coming at 18%. So what will essentially happen is that there will be an accumulation of input tax credit, and that accumulation can be encashed by making an application for refund for inverted tax structure. Another type of refund which is available is on account of sometimes taxpayers make a mistake wherein tax is paid. For example, if I had to pay an IGST, however, by mistake I've made a payment of CGST and SGST. So the legal provisions do allow me to seek a refund for that, or either I can adjust that excess tax payment in my subsequent payments. The another type of refund which is available is on account of supplies made on account of deemed exports. Deemed exports basically means is that the goods is not actually going outside India. However, the customer to whom I am selling will ultimately take that goods to outside the country. And sometimes there can be refunds on account of litigation, because whenever we litigate a matter, there is a mandatory requirement under law to make a pre-deposit. And in case I am able to win that case, the law allows me to seek refund of that pre-deposit. So I'll just walk you through the refund application process, what is written in the law and what is practically being followed by the officers. Whatever experience we have gathered in the last 3 years, whether the refund application process as given under the law is actually being followed, and what challenges one faces when he makes a refund application. So this is basically the refund application process. The first and foremost thing which is happening as of now is one needs to make a refund application in this form, which is called as RFD01. Earlier, this form was called by the name of RFD01A, and since the process was not entirely online, some part was online and some part was offline. So as a workout mechanism, GSTN introduced this form RFD01A. However, with time, since the entire refund application process has been made online, so one needs to make a refund application in this form RFD01. And as per the provisions of law, department needs to issue an acknowledgement within 15 days of my application. However, what we have been observing is that department is actually not issuing that acknowledgement within the 15 days in most of the cases. This is because they want to mitigate the impact of payout of interest to the taxpayer, because as soon as the department acknowledges my refund application, it prima facie means that the documents submitted by me are complete in all respect. So they are mandated by the law that within 60 days from the application date, the department needs to issue the refund to the taxpayer. So in a form that they do not issue RFD02, it shows that the taxpayer has actually not submitted the complete documents, and they try to mitigate the impact, and RFD02 is basically is delayed. And in most of the cases, what we have been seeing is that department is issuing deficiency memo, which is issued in form RFD03. So this is being issued very rampantly, and RFD03 is issued without any reasons. And to cite you one of the examples which we have faced, so one of our clients made a refund application on his own, and he came back to us that the department has issued deficiency memo, and the reason given in the deficiency memo was others. The deficiency memo said that we are rejecting your refund application because the documents are not complete, and the reason given was only others. So the client was not actually aware what does that mean, and what am I supposed to cure the deficiency. So what our suggestion is that whenever we make a refund application, it is better that though the process has been made online, but it is better to once at least visit the department, meet the concerned officer, just walk him through the application, what you have submitted online, whether he is satisfied with the documents which are uploaded, so as to ensure that before any kind of communication is given by the department, at least there is some communication between department and us. What happens once the refund is acknowledged in RFD 02 is that there is a provision under law that department needs to grant us the refund within 7 days, at least 90% of the refund amount. Again, what we have been seeing around the Tri-City is that this provisional refund is not being granted within 7 days, and of course there are different reasons to that. And this entire process of issuance of RFD 04 or the 7 days process is not being followed. What is actually happening is once I'm being issued an RFD 02, straight away a show cause notice is issued in form RFD 08. And what different is there under the GST regime is that the taxpayer needs to reply to that show cause notice within 15 days. And department is actually not granting any adjournment for that. So this 15 days period becomes very crucial, because in case we are not able to respond to that show cause notice within 15 days, department is going to reject my refund application. And once you file the reply to that show cause notice in 15 days, then either our refund application would be either accepted by the officer, or either he's going to reject that. And in case it is accepted, a final order is issued in form RFD 06, and a payment advised is issued in form RFD 05. And what we have seen is probably within 7 to 10 days, the refund gets credited to the taxpayer's account in case everything goes pretty well. So I'll request the audience, whenever they want to share their views or probably their experiences in filing refund application, whatever challenges they are facing in this entire process. So we'll be happy to discuss in the midway of the presentation, and we'll be happy to take that up at the end as well. So some of the latest updates around the GST provisions which are applicable for GST refunds. So there has been certain amendments in Rule 89(4)(c), and how far this rule needs to be practically followed is a challenge. What basically this rule wants a taxpayer to do is that in case I am exporting the goods without payment of tax, and the law wants to make sure that the turnover of my supply should not be more than 1.5 times the value of goods domestically supplied by the taxpayer. But there can be a scenario that an organization is actually not making any domestic supplies, and how that organization is going to identify that value of 1.5 times could be a challenge, because there can be different business scenarios and different product qualities which is being exported, and how this 1.5 times of value will be computed could be a challenge for the taxpayers. Another important amendment which has been made in the rules is with regards to the repatriation of money in case of export of goods. So the provisions which were there prior to this rule did not had any condition that in case I am making an export of goods, that the money needs to be, the consideration needs to be collected within any period. This condition was there in case of export of services. And now with the introduction of this rule, we see that a lot of show cause notices or probably departmental action will happen around this rule, which is presently not being followed by the industry at large. And what are the larger issues with this introduction of Rule 96B is because the the provision for this rule 96B is not there in the act itself. In the act, there is no provision that one needs to get the money back from the customer in case of export of goods. However, since this rule is not in line with the act, probably this is going to be questioned before the courts, and probably could be ultra vires to the act itself. Some of the recent clarifications which have been given for GST refunds is that how do I decide that whether what should be the order of utilization of ITC ledger in case I'm making a refund application. So this has been clarified in circular number 125, wherein department CBIC has clarified that first I need to debit my IGST account to the extent the balance is available, and in case the balance is not available in the IGST ledger, I can debit my CGST and SGST ledger equally. And in case the balance is not available in the CGST and SGST, the balance portion can be again debited to whatever ledger the balance is available. The second important clarification which has been given by CBIC is on account of refund on account of export of exempted supplies. So let's take an example that alcohol is not part of the GST regime, and if I am an alcohol manufacturer and I am exporting that alcohol outside India, whatever inputs which has gone into the manufacturing of that alcohol which has suffered GST, will I be eligible to seek a refund for that? So this has been clarified through the circular that yes, in case I am making an export for any exempt supplies or any supplies which are not part of GST per se, so one can seek a refund of input tax credit suffered on the manufacturing of that product. So this is something which is industry is not aware of, and probably we can educate our clients wherever our clients are manufacturing any product which is not suffering GST. And in case he's an exporter, one can seek a refund of input tax credit on that. So what happens in case department issues me a deficiency note? Because this becomes important because there is a timeline to make a refund application. So what is the general provision is that one needs to make a refund application within 2 years. And this 2 years is different for different type of refund applications. And let's say I make a refund application on the last day of the end of this 2 years, and department issues me a deficiency note. So what will be the fate of that refund application? So it has been clarified that in case department issues me a deficiency note, it would be treated that I have never made a refund application. So this becomes very important that any refund application is not filed at the last moment, and in case it is filed at the last moment, then probably we need to make sure that department does not issue a deficiency note. The another important issue is with respect to wrong jurisdictional officer. Sometimes what is happening is that I am making a refund application and it is not reflecting in the GST portal of my jurisdictional officer. And when I visit my jurisdictional officer, the officer is telling me that I am not able to see your refund application because this has not come to me through the GST online mechanism. So this has been clarified that in case the refund application has gone to some other jurisdictional officer, another jurisdictional officer is not required to issue a deficiency memo to that refund application and is required to transmit that refund application to the concerned officer. Another important clarification is with regards to the PFMS verification. And what is this PFMS verification is basically that the bank account details which we are updating for the refund application, this needs to be verified through the public finance management system. And since all the payments are credited to the taxpayer through the PFMS system, so accordingly, taxpayers are advised that they do not change the bank accounts in their multiple refund applications. And in case there is a change in bank account, the same needs to be verified from the PFMS. And only once the bank account is validated, the tax payment will be credited to the the GST refund will be credited to the taxpayer. And with respect to the interest on delayed refund, this is also important because in most of the cases, what we have seen is that refund is not being granted within the 60 days of making the application. So one can make an application for seeking interest from the department, and which is available at the rate of 6% per annum. And this is something which can be advised to clients to make an application. With respect to the TDS or TCS, sometimes what we have seen is that the TDS is something which is being deducted by the government organizations, and since they are not robust in following the compliances, sometimes what happens is that they deduct a wrong TDS amount. So what is being advised by CBIC is that in case a wrong deduction has been made by the government department, the taxpayer to whose account that tax deduction has been made can either adjust that TDS amount with his future tax liabilities, or he can claim the refund of the same under the category of refund of excess balance in electronic cash ledger. So some of the another clarifications which have been given by CBIC is given through circular number 135. And what has been clarified is that one can make a refund application across financial years as well. So this is something which was a problem, and there was a judgment given in the case of Pitambara Books Private Limited, wherein sometimes what was happening is that ITC was availed in the GST 3B of a particular financial year, and exports were made in subsequent financial year. And since the refund application is designed in such a way that when I am making a refund application for a particular period, it only takes the input tax credit which I have claimed in that particular period. So what happens in case I am claiming an input tax credit in some other financial year and I'm exporting it in some other financial year? So this was clarified by CBIC, and this has been made operational, and one can make a refund application for successive financial years together. So another important clarification which we all are struggling with is with respect to the reconciliation with GSTR 2A. What is being seen is that practically department is not issuing me the refund for all the invoices which are not reflected in GSTR 2A. Now, one important thing to highlight here is that the reconciliation with GSTR 2A was introduced through Rule 36 Sub-Rule 4, and this amendment was made with effect from 9th October 2019. So, in case you are making a refund application which was of period prior to 9th October 2019, you can make your submission that the reconciliation with GSTR 2A was not required as per the legal provisions, and accordingly this can be this can be made part of your submissions before in response to a show cause notice, or probably one can litigate this issue. However, from 9th October 2019, this condition is probably needs to be followed, and only for those invoices which are reflected in GSTR 2A, refund would be available. Another important requirement is with respect to the mentioning of HSN/SAC code while we are making a refund application. So why department has introduced is basically to identify the list of ineligible input tax credit, and they want the taxpayer to mention the HSN code along. What we have seen practically is that sometimes departmental officers are also seeking the item description as well, though it is not part of the format of Annexure B. However, department seeks these details, HSN codes and item descriptions, just to identify if there is any ineligible credit which is there as part of my refund application, which should not be granted to the taxpayer. So some of the latest judicial pronouncements is around SEZ units. So there have been a confusion whether an SEZ unit can seek a refund for export of goods or services. And there has been a judgment given in the case of Britannia Industries by the Ahmedabad High Court. And it has been clarified that yes, in case an SEZ unit which is exporting and is in receipt of input invoices through the ISD route, he will be eligible to claim an refund for GST. Another important judgment is in the case of Jain International, and here the issue was that department did not issue any acknowledgement within 15 days of the filing of refund application, and the deficiency memo was issued after the 15 days of filing the application. So, so the taxpayer took the department to the High Court, and the High Court in this important ruling has clarified that in case department does not issue an acknowledgement within 15 days of my application, department does not have a right to issue a deficiency memo. So whenever while you are making an application, you always have a shelter of this ruling, and in case in any of your application department is issuing a deficiency memo after 15 days, you can bring in notice this judgment to the concerned officer, and accordingly an appropriate action can be taken. So some of the other practical issues which we are seeing is with regards to the GST refunds is that in case of export of services, because Chandigarh is basically a software exporting city, and a lot of software exports are happening from Chandigarh. And this question of intermediary has crept in, and a lot of refund applications are being denied on account of intermediary issue. And this is something which department is also not pretty much clear. And there was a clarification issued by CBIC on how to identify whether taxpayer is an intermediary or not. And that clarification again was actually not a clarification, and it raised more doubts. So CBIC had to take back that clarification, and now as part of minutes of meeting of GST Council, this issue was brought before the GST Council of Intermediary, and it was it was asked by the GST Council to CPIC that a clarification on intermediary needs to be issued in line with the provisions of service tax law. And under the service tax law, this concept of intermediary was explained under the education guide. And one can, in case some of you are facing this issue, probably you can refer the education guide issued by the CBIC under the service tax regime. And you can analyze whether your client actually falls under the intermediary or not. And accordingly, a submission can be made before the officer. The second practical issue is again with respect to this nil filing of refund application. What GSTN is being configured is that one needs to file a nil refund application before moving forward to a subsequent period. So this becomes an issue, and it has been clarified that once an application has been filed for a particular period, the system would not allow to refile the refund application. Another important problem which we all are facing is that department sometimes asks for documents, declarations, which are not prescribed in the rules. And how do we tackle such scenarios? So sometimes what we have seen is that department asks us to submit all the purchase invoices in spite of us reconciling it with GSTR 2A. Still department is seeking the copies of invoices of of purchase invoices, and sometimes they are seeking the customs import of invoices, bill of entries, because these bill of entries are not reflected in my GSTR 2A. So a lot of documents and declarations are being submitted, which is basically not prescribed in the law. Some more challenges are regarding to the offline tools. The tools which are there to make the refund application, they do not support, and they reconcile each and every invoice with my GSTR 1, with my GSTR 2A, and accordingly filing the refund application becomes a tedious task. Further, the major problem is being faced in cases where the refund application is basically allocated to state GST authorities. Since the state GST authorities are not in a habit to grant refunds, so what we have seen is that whenever a refund application goes to the state GST authorities, the refund is usually delayed and it is not being sanctioned timely, and in most of the cases it is being rejected. However, which is not the case in case of CGST, central GST authorities. So this was all from my side. We are open to discussion on e-invoicing as well as GST refunds. So we wanted it to be a more of a two-way communication. But however, since in this online world, we are doing it through this mechanism. So we'll keep more time for your questions, and we'll happy to answer them.
Thank you, Darshi. Thank you, sir, for a very good and informative presentation, sir. So now I request our participant or viewers, if they have any questions, so we can unmute them, sir. Anybody, if anybody has any question on e-invoicing or refund issue, he or she can ask their question by raising their hand. We can unmute them.
If anyone is having question regarding how what are the action points that needs to be implemented on the clients for e-invoicing, that can also be discussed.
Yes, sir. In the chat box, I think so.
I can read that
Yeah, you have
question.
already given the answer, Pratik. I think so.
So, Adarsh, there's a question from Abhinav Gupta.
Yeah.
So
You
he
can take, sir.
says that can an SSC raise export invoice under LUT and with payment of tax option simultaneously?
So, Abhinav, there is, as per the legal provisions, one can, of course, a single invoice cannot be done in both the manner. However, in a month, let's say you have 10 invoices which you are exporting, and the law allows you to export 5 invoices under the one option and 5 invoices under the second option. And it is not that once I follow a particular method, I need to follow that method for the subsequent period as well. So I hope if that was the question, I have answered that query.
Thank you, Darshi. Thank you. So nobody is raising hand right now. Actually, Adarshi, you have taken the lot of number of practical issue faced and answered them yourself, sir. I think so. And
so sometimes Anilji, sometimes we have also seen that there are cases where exporters have not filed their LUT, and there is a confusion in the mind of an exporter that since I have not filed an LUT, whether department will grant me a refund or not. So this has also been clarified that by the CBIC that in case the taxpayer has not filed an LUT at the time of export, the LUT can be filed subsequently, and department would not take any adverse action for that.
there is one question from Preet Sharma, sir. How to cancel e-way bill if invoice is cancelled after 24 hours? Sir.
So, Puneet, e-way bill needs to be cancelled within 24 hours in case there is any problem in your invoice or the e-way bill has been incorrectly issued. So the e-way bill has to be cancelled within the 24 hours. However, in case you are not able to cancel that e-way bill within the 24 hours and it comes to your knowledge after 24 hours, probably what we would suggest is that you can raise a credit note and you can cancel the original invoice and you can raise another invoice and again raise a new e-way bill. Probably this is only workaround way to find a solution to your problem.
Thank you, sir. एक चैट बॉक्स में अभिनव गुप्ता जी का क्वेश्चन आ रहा है जी आदर्श जी. Many IT if you can read and answer it, or should I read it?
So basically, it's on the intermediary, Adarsh ji,
Yeah.
that many IT companies are facing the intermediary as you highlighted, and what are the steps has been, if any representations has been done or not, or what is under process.
So Abhinav, on the intermediary issue, yes, of course, there is no clarity because CBIC itself does not have any clarity on this issue, which can be seen that they have issued a circular and then they have to take back that circular. But what we would suggest you is that under the service tax law, of course, there was some clarity on this issue, and you can refer the education guide, which gives the different parameters to analyze whether a particular exporter is qualifying within the ambit of intermediary or not. So there are different criterias and different parameters, and one can identify from those that whether I qualify as an intermediary or not, and accordingly a representation can be filed before the officer. But it can happen that department does not accept that clarification given in the education guide, And in that case, you can refer to the GST Council meeting, minutes of meeting, wherein it has been specifically mentioned that in case of an intermediary issue, the taxpayer and the CBIC is advised to issue another circular around the provisions given under the education guide only. So this is something which we follow for our clients, and some of the officers accept that, and in one or two cases we have been given the refund.
Okay, ji. I think Kanika ji's question is for you, sir. Pratik ji, how is turnover being calculated for e-invoicing, sir?
So Kanika ji, the turnover we need to calculate, the terminology used is the aggregate turnover as we use in our normal GST law. So it's a PAN-based turnover that we need to calculate for all the branches, for all the GSTs.
Okay, sir.
If it is above 100 crore, then it is applicable on that company.
Okay, okay. ठीक है प्रदीप जी. A question is from
So is that
Sahil Garg.
previous year turnover?
Yes, previous year turnover, because you, of course, on 1st January, you don't know if it is, you have crossed, if you would be crossing the 100 CR threshold by March 2021.
Okay.
So, Kanika, this has also been, there has been made some changes in the rules for e-invoicing, and now that the turnover is to be seen for the financial year 17-18, 18-19, or 19-20. If in any of the financial year your turnover crosses this threshold of 100 CR, e-invoicing would be applicable. Let's say you have a client who has a turnover of 105 crores in financial year 17-18, but his turnover was 80 crores in 18-19 and 70 crores in 19-20. Even then, e-invoicing would be applicable for your client because his turnover was more than 100 crores in financial year 17-18.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
One question is there from Sahil Garg, sir. Can we take the help of Gujarat High Court judgment for the refund of ITC of services in case of inverted duty structure, sir?
Can I answer, Adarsh?
Yeah, please.
So basically, Sahil, so there's a contrary ruling in the similar matter in the Madras High Court also. So now what is happening is that Gujarat High Court is allowing us to have the refund of input services under IDS, and the Madras High Court has ruled out this contention. So first we need to wait for the Supreme Court ruling, but what practically we are doing in this area, the Punjab and the Tri-City area, we are filing refund for input services in our application. Sometimes the department is agreeing, some of the officers, to the contention of the Gujarat High Court, and some are not. So the clarity in this topic would only be given by the government or by a Supreme Court ruling.
Okay, Pradeep ji. Here's another. Can we take the benefit of positive ruling in the state of Punjab as state of Punjab and Haryana High Court has not pronounced any ruling on this?
Right, as already said that, of course, we should apply for this. We should fight for this on the basis of Gujarat High Court ruling, but it's upon the officer, because of course the law is not absolutely clear right now.
Okay, Pradeep ji. Now another question from Ashu ji is there. In case of import of goods, if e-way bill issued wrongly, then how we will correct it or correct it either through credit note or someone else procedure is there, sir? In case of import of goods, sir.
So, sir, in case of the import of goods, you generate a delivery challan, and on the basis of that, you generate an e-way bill. So, if goods are already have been received by your factory, in your factory, then I don't see any need to just correct that e-way bill. And if the goods are not received, it's on the port, then you can generate another e-way bill, cancel that e-way bill.
Okay.
Where there should be a need of credit note.
Thank you, ji. I think there is no another question is there, sir, till now. Once again, my request to all the participants, if they have any questions right now on the issue of e-invoicing and refund issues, they can still raise their questions, sir, either by way of writing or may ask by raising of their hand.
So we would be happy to answer to any other queries
Yeah.
to GST as well. So
Okay,
other than these two topics, in case there is any point you would like to discuss or any challenge you are facing under GST, we will be happy to address that as well.
Ashok Kumar is again asking sir question of that. In case of import of goods, if e-way bill issued wrongly, then how we will correct it? Achha, we have taken that. Okay, we have taken that. If 24 hours time have lapsed, is there any difference for that? If 24 hour.
Ashu, can you just come on the mic? We can just have
Ashu, you can.
Or we can, because this topic is not for e-invoicing and refunds, we can discuss it separately. It's a whole of a different topic out of this webinar.
Yeah. हाँ जी लक्ष्य जी बोलिए.
Hello.
हाँ जी.
My question is actually in case of import of goods, like the e-way bill has been wrongly raised, and it comes to the notice after 24 hours. Obviously, as suggested earlier, in case of sale of goods, that credit note can be issued and a fresh e-way bill can be issued. But what can be the rectification in case of import of goods, because bill of entry cannot be revised, and e-way bill is incorrectly lodged, and 24 hours have already lapsed. Is there a remedy in that case?
So Ashu, in case of import of goods, since the system, the e-way bill portal as well as the legal provisions do not allow a taxpayer to cancel the e-way bill once generated. So what best can be done is that probably you can write to your jurisdictional officer. You can make you can submit a letter to the officer informing him that this was an e-way bill which was inadvertently generated by us, and since the system does not allows me to rectify the e-way bill, and so I am as part of my compliance, I'm informing the department that this e-way bill was wrongly generated. This would help you, in case department gets to know about the e-way bill wrongly generated, and you'll not be able to. The departmental officer will not be able to impose any penalties on you for wrong generation of e-way bill.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
I think no question is there. I think right now no question is there, sir. Adarshi.
Excuse me, sir. I have another question. Can I ask?
Yeah. Please, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. My question is regarding the refund. Like the goods exported on LUT, without tax, and that refund formula is available. The advance authorization, the goods which are, the inputs are imported under advance authorization. There is, as you have answered already, that there is no separate formula given to calculate that. So basically, we will, while calculating that, we will add the total amount of sale of export, which is on LUT without advance authorization and with advance authorization. So that will be calculated together.
So, Ashu, advance authorization is something which happens on your purchase side.
Yeah.
When I am, for the benefit of the audience, advance authorization is a scheme under foreign trade policy, which allows an importer to import without payment of customs duty. So if I am using an advance authorization, I am importing the goods without payment of customs duty. And once I import those goods, I will use that goods in the production process, and I generate a final product. And that final product needs to be exported outside the country. So with respect to the turnover calculation for my refund application, the sales turnover will remain intact. Whatever my sales are, the on the outward side turnover will be the turnover which is there as per my export invoices. And with respect to my input tax credit, I will consider the input tax credit for the domestically procured goods. All right. So the input tax credit is for the domestically procured goods, and the turnover needs to be computed for all the products exported for a particular period.
थैंक यू आदर्श जी। प्रतीक जी, एक क्वेश्चन विवेक गर्ग जी का क्वेश्चन है उसमें चैट बॉक्स में,
हाँ जी
इफ यू कैन टेक राइट वे सर।
So IGST, Vivek sir writes that IGST payable on export of goods without LUT shown in 3B under domestic turnover and liability. Now there is a mismatch in IGST between GSTR 1 and 3B. So I guess this has been handled by Adarsh.
Adarsh ji, please, sir.
He would be at a better position.
So, Vivek ji, in case of export of goods on payment of tax, the refund mechanism is entirely different. So, in case I am exporting on payment of tax, the refund is basically processed through the customs department. And what I understand from your query is that in my GSTR 3B, I have shown the export invoices in the table required for domestic sales. So there was a clarification given by CBIC on this issue that in case I am seeking a refund for this export on payment of IGST, the turnover which the customs department will see is for both exports and domestic clubbed together. And in case my the sale invoices which I have reported in my GSTR 1 are equal to or less than the GSTR, the turnover reported in my GSTR 3B, then the customs department will seek a declaration from you that this has been incorrectly reported by the taxpayer. And once that declaration is received by the customs department, the department will release the refund.
आदर्श जी, एक क्वेश्चन था अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस टॉपिक जी। जैसे अभी रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ जीएसटी का भी पीछे जैसे हुआ, कोई फेक रजिस्ट्रेशन हो गई और उसमें सीए को अरेस्ट किया गया, जैसे आपने भी कहीं पढ़ा होगा ना जी। तो अभी तो खैर उसका और प्रोसीजर टफ होने जा रहा है। तो व्हाट टाइप ऑफ प्रिकॉशन कैन ए सीए टेक और एनीबॉडी व्हाइल डूइंग दिस रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ एनी क्लाइंट? आप क्या सजेस्ट करेंगे, वो क्यों हुआ ऐसा केस, और क्या मतलब हम प्रिकॉशन ले सकते हैं उस समय पे जब हम किसी की रजिस्ट्रेशन करते हैं जी?
तो सर बेसिकली व्हाट difference I have seen is that in case of private practice, हम लोग क्लाइंट के साथ कोई एग्रीमेंट में एंटर नहीं करते हैं। हम लोग जो क्लाइंट के साथ क्लाइंट के लिए जो भी हम काम कर रहे हैं आज की डेट में, वो यूजुअली वर्बल होता है, बट क्योंकि लिए वो प्रोबेबली क्लाइंट की नीड है या हमने अपने आप को एडजस्ट कर लिया है। तो what best we would suggest is that for example, in case of firms like the big firms जिनको हम कहते हैं, they do not enter into contract with any client without any legal engagement letter, what we call here. तो आप किसी भी क्लाइंट के साथ अगर कोई भी आप काम कर रहे हैं तो उसमें आप एक एंगेजमेंट लेटर बनाएं, जिसके अंदर आप अपना स्कोप ऑफ सर्विस लिखें और उसके अंदर आप अपना स्कोप लिमिटेशन लिखें, डिस्क्लेमर लिखें कि हमारी क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है और आपकी क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है। और जब तक क्योंकि लिए कोई लीगल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं होगा बिटवीन द क्लाइंट एंड बिटवीन द चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, it would be very difficult to prove before the courts that इसमें गलती किसकी थी, क्या चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट की गलती थी कि क्लाइंट की गलती थी। तो this is what best advice sir we can give.
Okay, thank you sir, thank you. So viewer, if you have any question you can still ask sir. We have I think so. राजेश, क्या हम कंक्लूड कर दें जी सर फिर? सर
यस अनिल,
कंक्लूड करें या सर वेट करें कोई क्वेश्चंस की सर?
yes we can conclude. If no questions are there we can conclude.
Okay sir, okay ji sir, thank you, thanks a lot Darshi and Prateek ji. Before I give mic to sir our vice chairman sir Upkar Singh ji for vote of thanks, now I request Upkar ji to have a formal vote of thanks. Over to Upkar sir.
Thank you Anil. I Upkar Singh, vice chairman Chandigarh branch, on behalf of Chandigarh branch of NIRC of ICI, thanks young speaker CA Prateek Bindal ji for enlightening us on introduction of E-invoicing. I am also thankful to CA Adarsh Gupta for deliberation on challenges and solutions in processing of GST refund claims. The session was wonderful. I am also thankful to all the participants of this virtual meeting for making this virtual meeting successful, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks all.
Thank you, Upkar ji. Thank you.
Thank you, Upkar sir.
Thank you, ji.
Manoj, sir.
Once again, Adarsh ji, thank you, Prateek ji, and thanks to all the learned viewers. So here we conclude today's meeting, sir. Thanks to everyone, sir. Thank you, ji.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ji.
Thank you so much sir, thank you.